Specialist.io.
Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode of You Deserve Fresh Lettuce. I am your co-host Rachel.
And I'm Delia.
And welcome back to season 2 of the You Deserve Fresh Lettuce podcast. You can catch us on social media at YDFL Podcast or listen to us on your favorite podcast platform.
Or Alexa.
And you can also check us out visually on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe,
listen.
All the fun things. Okay. This episode, we're going to be talking about...
Should you share everything with your husband?
This is a good one. This is a great way to kick off the season because let me tell you, we have stories.
We do.
And gems for you.
And you know, and sometimes I think when you overshare things with your husband, I think that sometimes can actually be, it can work against you when you're oversharing about what, you know, your girlfriend's doing and who she's dating and how many, if she's single, how many guys she's hooked up with, and if she's easy, if she's not, if she's married and hooking up with the boss, like that's all gonna bite you in the rear. So,
but it even applies to simple things like, oh my God, I don't feel good today, and blah blah blah. Like all the aches and the weird grumblings and all the random little naggy things that we sometimes do because we want to share with them because we think it's our best friend.
Right.
But the reality is, we actually did a Instagram live with an amazing group. Check it out. Go to @YDFL Podcast. Check out our Instagram lives that we have saved there.
Yes.
And you're gonna see the bro code section. And let me tell you, what we learned is that men actually want us to maintain a sense of allure. There's something magical about us that they fell for us over. And when we're sitting there going, oh, honey, my stomach was so upset from those nachos. You should have seen.
Diarrhea.
I had the diarrhea.
And they're like, wait a minute, what? And guys, just, there are things that you share and there are things that you don't share. And there's things that you're oversharing on. And you know, you're right. There's like this allure of like this presence of my wife being a certain way. And I think that after a while it happens where you're just, the bathroom door's open and you're just like going number one. Number two's on another level in my opinion. That's just like super private. I think like you have to keep that allure of like the man thinking that you just don't do that. But a lot of people, sometimes people don't care.
They don't.
They're literally pass gas and like lift up the leg.
Belching and
oh my gosh.
And the flatulence. Come on, ladies.
Yeah.
Come on, ladies.
I mean, here's the thing, though. How do you undo that if that's the way that you've already lived in the dynamic of it?
Unring that bell.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a saying that says, for every one thing you do bad, it takes 7 good things to essentially balance it out, right? Okay. So maybe you just got to be like 7 months, maybe 7 years of just being super classy with your partner.
Where he forgets that you're doing these crazy belching and like doing a number 2 when the door's open. It's like, oh my gosh.
But when you're talking about friendships,
yes.
And we all know someone in our social circles is a little bit slippery and a little more daring, or who went out on that girls' night out and maybe just had a little bit too much to drink and kind of ended up in a coat closet
in the back
or something,
Yukon,
or went to the bachelorette party
do it.
and something
little
strippers, little something. Hey, we're not trying to break girl code here.
Well, see, here's the thing: we're never going to break girl code. If you know us personally, here's why: because we're never going to give out names, and we're never going to say who it is, unless it's my cousin's wife.
Oh. We out here today. Let me tell you. Kicking off the season.
Coming in super hot. But anyway, going back to that, I had to throw that in there. Going back to the oversharing, you know what I did? I could tell you a story really quick. I had a friend of mine that was married at the time, and this particular friend was getting a lot of like awesome gifts, from like, the one of the bosses, and was getting like these really high-end like gifts, like $2,000, $3,000, $6,000 bags. And it was just something that was really easy for me to just share, like, oh my gosh, her boss is like awesome. And all of a sudden it backfired on me. You know why? Because he's like, no man, do you understand? No man is gonna drop $5,000-$6,000 on a handbag if he's not screwing you. And it's like, seriously, if any man ever gives you a handbag like that, you and I need to talk. And that just, boom, backfired on me. So sometimes those types of things, you got to keep to yourself.
Yes.
Because those bonuses, I don't know how she was receiving the bonuses, but let's just say she got them.
She might have been using nature's credit card, like my grandma used to say. Let me tell you, nature's credit card.
Just swipe or don't swipe.
Never know.
Just swipe that thing.
Yeah, you know, I think that I was guilty of doing the failed to mentions. And I used to say,
equivalent to lying, by the way.
Well, there's a lady out there who's saying it, and I think she just says that because maybe her husband failed to mention.
No. Like, she literally is like an like this
I know.
top detective lady that like freaking
I
like
saw her
you
TED
saw
Talk.
her, yeah, and it's like she's freaking like gorgeous lady, like she knows her stuff.
But here, let me give you an example. If I go out with my girlfriends, this is back in the day. I don't really do too much of the girls' night outs, but like when I was married, I used to do them. And let me tell you, there was always a situation that would happen. And so when you come home or that night or the next day, you know, your husbands are kind of like, hey, so how was it? And it might be very tempting to be like, oh my God, babe, we went here and we went there. And let me tell you, like, you know, Susie Lou, listen, I don't have a Susie Lou in my circle.
Susie Lou is loose.
Susie Lou is out. She's out here. She was in the parking lot. And we had to go knocking on all the car doors. True story, by the way. That wasn't her name, though. And we had to go, and we finally found her. And we had to tell the guy, hey, no, she's married. She's drunk. Like,
it was already too late when she got to her, though.
It was an extraction, but we were late.
Yeah.
So, you know, I didn't feel like that was for me to be telling my husband, can you believe it?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if you're one of them thinking like, oh, because I just want to be honest with my husband, he didn't ask for all that. And at the end of the day, he's just like, how did it go? And as women, we tend to overshare.
We do, yeah.
And I'm not saying lie to your husband, and I don't think that that's lying unless it's about you. If you did some shady things and you were in the backseat of some car.
The only thing I think when you the fail to mention, I can see that you should. And my mom would always say this: you don't have to share everything. And there's this verse in the Bible, right, that says you don't share with your right hand what the left hand does. Mm-hmm. So it's very equivalent to that. I mean, I'm not sure that I'm even quoting it correctly. The point is, you're just not to overshare. Yep. But I do know that if you don't share certain things, it could bite you in the butt. But you know what? Take your risk.
Ladies,
and don't overshare.
Know that there are people in your circle that will absolutely be out for themselves and tell their husbands everything about you. There's even a funny trend on TikTok or whatever that's like, oh, don't you want to meet for lunch so we can gossip? Don't worry. It's just me and my husband.
Right.
Oh, you're going to tell me how your date went? Don't worry. You can tell me and my husband. So that's kind of back to like the best friend vibes.
Well,
with the
here's
husbands.
another one too, though. Okay, so that's funny. That's the whole TikTok. That's like going on social media. There's also the girls that go out with, you know, they have the ladies' night, and then there's always the one girl that might be more drunk, and then there's that one friend that decides to take out her phone and record people to send it to the husband. Just an FYI,
that's so crazy.
It's cringy, and here's why. Because though you think it's cute and you guys are both collaborating on the laughs of like how drunk she was or how obnoxious she was, just know that at the end he might look at you and say, well, no one's recording you, and how would you act? Right. And how are you, even though you're trying to, you know, like show a presence that like you wouldn't do that and you're not like that. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, men are men. So they'll look at that and say, can I get an upper hand on that one friend? Because when she gets drunk, she may get sloppy. Yep. She may be on the floor. Like maybe I can like, you know, test that.
I think that right there, so Delia and I off camera had this conversation about this.
Yes.
My thing is, that I learned from these guys in my life, because my in-laws, it's mostly men, and I have like this one sister-in-law, right? And we knew each other since kids, and the stories that they would tell me as they were evolving and becoming men and getting into relationships and having kids was that, Rach, never say anything about any of your friends if you know that they're promiscuous or anything like that, because what happens in a man's mind is two things. One, they think, I don't want my wife near her because they think hoism is somehow contagious. That's number one. But number two, that woman has now then been vetted by you as someone who's very down for whatever. And when you think about who guys cheat with, and I'm not a man, I can't speak for all men, but it seems clear from these guys that they don't cheat on their wives with other women who want to be wives. They cheat on women with women who are, it's like a handshake. Sex is like a handshake. It's transactional. It's just fun. And so once you kind of identified in your social group that this girl, oh my gosh, she's with this guy or that guy at a party, or sober or drunk or whatever, or with her boss, by the way, all of a sudden now she's qualified. You just vetted her, and he might be viewing her as someone that he could potentially have an opportunity with. Not to leave you over, but to have a right.
Because guys won't usually leave you over the friend.
Yeah.
They just want to taste that.
Yeah.
They just want to hit it and quit it.
So that oversharing part, there is women that are insecure, and that's why they put their friends' businesses out there to their partners because they're insecure and they think that the guy's gonna look at her as less. He's gonna act like he doesn't like her. I saw a thing recently that says if your man can't stand your friend,
he wants her.
Yeah.
I can see that, and I can see that. Or, you know what, this is kind of going on a tangent. How about the men that see a girl at a restaurant and, like, let's say she's very good looking, she's very beautiful, and it's like, look, babe, did you see the way that girl walked in? I would, oh my gosh, like, who let her get out of the house like that? She's wearing, like, a little mini skirt, really low cut top, showing the boobs, showing the ass, and then all of a sudden he has an issue with that. He's more than likely just trying to get your approval or your okay to, like, check her out. And sometimes the guys kind of do that with the friends, like, your friend did not need to wear that to the party, or she did not need to do this or that, because this gives you an essence that he doesn't like her, and if he doesn't like her, he wouldn't go there. But it's like what you're saying, it's a complete opposite.
Oh, it's a
complete opposite.
Yeah, like,
complete
and then
opposite.
guess what you're doing, Miss Little, like, obedient wife? I'm gonna cover up, and I'm not gonna dress like that because he doesn't like that. Let me tell you, he likes it. That's why he doesn't want you to dress like that.
Right.
But yeah, it's a very slippery slope. Oh my gosh, the guys are gonna DM us like,
why
we
are
get
you
these crazy DMs?
our business out there? It's usually the guys that will DM us, but a lot of the time I think that, you know, it is true, and we've seen it, and we lived it, and we've experienced it, and sometimes also, you know, I've heard as women going as far as saying, by the way, someone knows somebody that knows that girl, and I heard she's got herpes. And that is, like, supposed to be, like, the ultimate ex. Like, he is not supposed to be with her because she's got a sexually transmitted disease. And but sometimes if you have to go that far, that means you don't trust.
That means you got a problem with your man.
You have no trust in him at all.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, because that's like super duper oversharing. And if you knew that your husband or your significant other wouldn't even go there, you wouldn't need to share that. And there are things that you need to keep to yourself.
Yeah, if you're an insecure woman and you feel the need to do that, you got a problem with your husband. And probably not even that. It's probably just a problem within yourself.
Right.
That you need to really figure it out. Your husband, though, might behave in a certain way that has taught you to be unsure, and then that makes you then put down other women to him, even though you're hosting them in your own home. So guess what? Men aren't stupid. They now see you as a hypocrite.
Yeah.
So you can sit there and put down this woman and then be like, oh, you want some salad or you want some champagne? Like, at the end of the day, now your husband just sees you as, like, kind of a liar and a hypocrite.
Right.
So you're not winning in any sense of the word. If, let's just say you fail to mention.
Right.
You failed to mention that Susie Lou was at it again, and she's in the backseat of some parking lot at a club.
Backseat of the Jeep, like LL Cool J.
And then later your husband finds out from the friends while they're golfing, okay? And the guys start talking, and they're like, did you hear that, you know, Jonathan's wife, Susie Lou, was out there? Now your husband's going to be like, my wife went to that outing. And then, he might reprimand you. But, you know, at the end of the day, you could say, honey, I wasn't in the backseat of the car. I got her out, but that wasn't my story to tell. I'm not in the business of ruining marriages. It doesn't impact our marriage because I was in the backseat of that car.
Right.
What she's doing does not impact me in that way. You know?
And then also I think it matters on the dynamic of each marriage, though I will tell you. Because I think that some husbands might take it as, what else have you failed to mention? And that could backfire.
Lots
but
and
there
lots
are,
of things.
but yeah, no kidding. Like how much money you spent at Nordstrom's or, you know, Bloomingdale's.
I think if it's about
Amazon.
you and your behavior and you're failing to mention, you are probably a liar.
Yeah.
But if this is about others, right?
Where you don't want to overshare.
Right, and you don't want to overshare other people's business, no matter how horrible it might be. I just feel like it's not, for me, I just feel like it's not my place to do that.
Yeah.
I will say, if I see someone's husband in public with someone else, I'm very apt to walk up and be like, hi, with my phone, just recording.
Really?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I've
never experienced that, so I don't know that I would or wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I know that recently, really recently, and this is something that I dealt with myself. I had a girlfriend, and at the time, you know, we were dating like mutual friends, and I found out that her boyfriend was actually kind of sleeping around with like women of the night, like actual call girls and like hookers, and I've experienced that because like obviously you guys know from first season, it's not a mystery. That's what happened to me too. And a lot of people like came up and told me, hey, this is what's happening. So for me, I really had to gut check that and say, do I tell her about that?
Did you see it or you just heard it?
It was like I heard it through the grapevine.
Yeah, that's
and see,
hard.
and that's the thing. Like I can't say
That's
that
so
I
hard.
don't. You know, I didn't see it. I don't know. I don't have evidence.
Yeah.
And I can't really say. So to me, I'm like, oh, how do you even go and say that? And sometimes like you have to really watch who, what, when, where, why.
Yeah.
And always remember that if you open your mouth or if you screen record, sometimes even if you catch that guy in the act in bed with another woman, not that you would, not that you should be in a situation where that would happen, and you show the girl, if the girl's not ready to go,
that's it.
She doesn't care. If you show it
now
to her,
you're
she's
the
not,
enemy.
now you're the
now
enemy.
you're the enemy.
Yeah, not her, not him. You are for sharing. So sometimes that is one of those things where you almost have to gut check and say, what do I do?
Yeah.
Do I not?
It's a
So
tough
I
thing.
keep that to myself.
And I think that as women, you know, you have your friend circles, and I think that there should be some kind of understanding even with the girls. And I don't mean an understanding to cover up, no, but an understanding of like, if you find, you know, my man cheating, I want to know. It doesn't mean that the girls are going to have courage. Right. But let me tell you what your friends are going to do. They're going to go home and tell their husbands that they saw Jonathan over there cuddled up with some girl. And their husband's going to say, don't you dare say anything.
Right.
Right? The husbands are quick to be like,
well, that's what happened with the
was
it the NBA where everyone was getting divorced, like maybe, I don't know, 7 years ago? I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but one of the wives, it could have even been Vanessa Bryant, that told somebody that the husband was cheating, and then it became this big thing where then now everybody found out that everybody was cheating, and it was all because someone decided to overshare.
Yep.
And it wasn't even his place to overshare.
See, that's the thing.
So sometimes you just gotta
just stay in your lane, man.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like if you're in a marriage, you're in a long-term relationship, whatever the situation is, you know, you have your friends to talk to about all the like bickering, complaining, like, I can't believe my mom did this, or my sister did that, or my neighbor did that, or that's all for like your bestie.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But if you want to have like real conversations, or hey honey, or it'd be great about this, that's for your, I think like keep it light, keep it tight with your husband. And you know, in terms of the oversharing, because we did this Q&A on our live,
we did.
and the guru was like, we don't want to know all, like we don't care about all that stuff, and like,
and he was also saying about like the way that like, I think it was his daughter, the way that he speaks to his daughter is one way, the way he speaks to his wife is, or his significant other, is one way, the way that he speaks with his buddies is another way. So you almost have to take that into consideration and really think about the way that you speak to your girls, the way that you speak to your kids, the way that you speak to your mom. Like, there's just different, it's not that you're being two-faced or that you're not being yourself or you're not coming as authentic as you should be.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know what, there's a time and place for everything.
And
there's a time and place for sharing things. And sometimes you gotta keep your mouth shut.
And he had said something that really stood out to us, which was his daughter went to him and said, Dad, I just want to find someone that accepts me for me, that I could be myself with him.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, no.
No one's
like,
ever
you
gonna
don't
accept
want to
that.
be fully yourself. And we were like, wait, what? You know? because we talk about being authentic and doing all these kinds of things, but he was just really describing this kind of like naggy, like clacky, like that whole chicken head mentality thing. Women, we love to talk about things, and we love to kind of build scenarios around things that don't exist and all this kind of stuff. The guys are not interested in all that. And by the way, in oversharing, they might view you in some way different. And T.D. Jakes is a wonderful, pastor of a church in Texas somewhere. Yeah. He's famous. He said, women speak words, and while women are speaking words, men are making decisions. So
you got to really take that into consideration when you're speaking too loud and when you're bashing your girlfriend and you're saying that, and sometimes it's not that you're trying to bash the girlfriend, by the way. Like for me, I think it was like my naiveness. Because after that, obviously, she got like more lavish gifts and Rolex watches and this and diamond earrings. And it's the fail to mention, because at that moment, I'm like, if he had, what do you call it, consumption fit?
Oh, yeah, conniption fit.
Yes, yeah. I love that word.
A conniption fit.
If he had that over her getting things, because he's like already assuming that that's what she's doing, and then all of a sudden, I'm kind of guilty by association. Yeah. He's going to freaking lose it when he finds out she's getting like diamond rings and earrings and this and that. And now I'm like, okay, now I have to keep my mouth completely shut if I want to continue the friendship.
Yep.
And anyone else that was going through that at that moment, I had to keep my mouth shut. And it's not for me to say, it's none of my business. I'm not the one receiving the gifts. She was, not me. Yeah. So, I mean.
And it could be all the way down to the suburbs of like, oh my God, honey, look at this casserole I made you. So-and-so doesn't even want to cook.
Oh,
like she just buys store-made lasagna.
Yes.
And wives will sit there doing that. And let me tell you what guys do. Wow, honey, okay. They don't freaking care. And now you just look like some bitter mean girl.
That is talking smack on the friend.
And then your friend shows up. You're like, hi, how are you?
Yeah. And so that's why you have to kind of stay in your lane and just like keep it neutral. And honestly, like we love to know about the color, the texture, the smell, what it looked like, what time of the day. The guys just want to be like, what happened? What is it? It's just quick. They don't want to know the details.
Yeah, we're like, hey, what happened? Oh, so what did he say?
Oh, that was it.
Oh, so did you guys all go in the same car? Oh, what'd you guys eat for lunch? He's probably like, what? We ate and played golf.
Did you have ketchup?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Oh my gosh.
And we overly share, and we need to stop doing that sometimes. Yes. And really think about, okay, if I overshare this, how it could affect you, essentially. Yes. It could affect you.
And that's assuming they're even listening fully. I mean, at the end of the day, I raised 2 boys into men, and when I tell you that I would give them 3 things they needed to do, and I knew over the years I'm going to get 1 out of those 3 things, because they'd be like, what? What was the other thing? They just don't process information the same as we do. They don't want to hear our voices for so long.
Okay, so really quick, there was this meme, this like kind of a joke, because like Alexa has been known to like really like listen in.
Oh, okay.
And she's obviously a female, and they said the new version of Alexa will be a man, and don't worry, he won't be listening. So
yeah, actual facts.
So half the time they probably aren't going to be listening anyway. So the likelihood of them even like really capturing everything. But let me tell you, if you tell them about those little details that we're talking about, like the boss giving the friend a rollie and like this, that is going to catch their attention like immediately.
Yeah, because they're thinking literally that this woman's going to give you an idea that whatever she's doing, you should do it too. And then that's what they think. Eddie Murphy has a wonderful skit in his 1980-something, stand-up comedy where he gets a woman from Africa because he doesn't want these American women who have been already like corrupted. And he has her there, and after 1 week of living in Beverly Hills, she made friends with the neighbor, and he comes home and she's like, what have you done for me, Eddie? And it's this famous thing about like, what have you done for me lately? Because so-and-so gets this and that and everything. Yeah. And you know what? Men just are really, they sometimes are concerned that if we're hanging out with the wrong ones, we're going to learn the wrong things.
Yeah.
So I just say fail to mention.
fangirls, or what is it? The girls. What is
Oh,
it? Fan
OnlyFans?
OnlyFans. Like,
Yeah, housewives to OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Oh,
yeah,
Lord.
it's like, oh, that's my girlfriend. She's on OnlyFans.
All right,
So,
guys,
yeah.
it's been a wonderful, wonderful chat. Please remember always that you deserve fresh lettuce. Cheers. Check you out next week.